Meet Daniel, entrepreneur, T-ball coach.
Hey there.
He's available anytime, anywhere, so his bank needs to be too. And with Robbins Financial Credit Union, he can make mobile deposits right from his tailgate.
It's easier than hitting off a tee.
And this is Jeannie and Tess.
Hi.
From their mortgage to auto loans and even online banking, Jeannie's family trusts Robbins Financial with all their banking needs.
We love Robbins.
I love the suckers.
Yes, we do.
Robbins Financial Credit Union. Better banking for everyone.
Welcome to everybody. Welcome to our Dublin Touchdown Club Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I hope that you've all found a seat. We may have to move around and let some people in, but so far, what a great looking group. We've got Dr. Fred Williams who's here with us. He's the superintendent of Dublin City Schools. And Dr. Fred, if you would bless us with an invocation.
O Lord, our Lord, how excellent is thy name in all the earth. Father God, we thank you for this privilege and opportunity to come together as one family. Father, we thank you for how you've been blessing us throughout the years and the rich heritage of football throughout these great schools. We thank you for this food that we receive, for nourishing our bodies and our bodies returning your service. May tonight be acceptable and find favor in thy sight, O Lord, our strength and Redeemer. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
We are having this induction because a few years ago, Coach Holmes said, Bill, we need a Hall of Fame. And so here we are. You don't argue with Coach Holmes, okay? Let's just put it that way. Coach Holmes, I believe you've got a coach that you would like to induct into the Hall of Fame.
I wanted to throw out a couple of 2 or 3 things here. I looked up some notes today, and this is just for general pride, Dublin pride and information, okay? Right now, Dublin high school football has 594 wins. We're hoping this upcoming year, Dublin reaches a milestone that very few schools in the history of Georgia to this point, and that's hitting that milestone win number 600. That ranks Dublin as the number 18 team school in the state of Georgia, and there are 868 teams that have played football on that list. That's why Dublin High School needs a Hall of Fame, because there's been a lot of great people who made that happen. It says that Dublin has 940 games recorded in the record books, and they've played football for 95 seasons. That's why you need a Hall of Fame, okay? There's a lot of history to this program. Dublin played their first football game in 1919. So 95 seasons, I think the war probably got in way of a couple of 3 years. But Dublin will have been playing high school football in 2019, which is right around the corner, for a century. And that's kind of amazing. Dublin High School has had one player that was named to the AJC Super 11, and that was one of our Hall of Fame individuals, and that was Ryan Taylor, okay? Dublin High School has had 88 different individuals named first team All-State in the history of their football program. Dublin High School has won 20 region championships as a football program. They have 4 state championships, and they have 4 young men that have gone on and played in the NFL. One of those being Scott Hagler, Eric Walden, Ryan Taylor, and Ben Claxton, and all 4 of those individuals are in our Hall of Fame. So that's just a little bit about the history of Dublin and why we felt like this was of huge importance. I guess the first honoree tonight is a gentleman, George Hagler, and I just wrote down a few notes because Coach Hagler, he may be one of my assistant coaches, but Coach Hagler is like my dad. I've got so much respect for him as an individual and as a person. He's been a part of Dublin High School football for 41 years. 41 years. Now, when I got to Dublin, I started asking around with the folks and people about my coaching staff, And they all told me I better watch out for this guy named George Hagler. And whatever I do, don't make him mad. I said, what do you mean? Well, they told me a story about a little situation between him and an opposing coach at a rec game. And Coach Hagler picked this opposing coach up, turned him upside down, and stuffed him in a trash can. I don't think that there's anything about that that's not true, because he owned up to it. And then when we were talking the other day, I think I heard a story about a rec league umpire that coach didn't necessarily agree with his call, and they said somehow or another the official ended up on the other side of the fence, and he didn't go through a gate. So at the end of the day, I tried to heed the warning, and glad that I did, okay, because I'm still around doing what I need to do. Coach Hagler actually coached football over in Eufaula, Alabama for a couple of years. I think this is the history he gave me. And then he coached in Blue Springs, Alabama for 3 years, and I think he told me when he was coaching in Blue Springs, he was the head football coach, the head baseball coach, and the head basketball coach. Thank goodness for him, he decided he wanted to get out and go into the private business world, and he did. And after a few years, he moved on over to Dublin, and we think the year was correct. In 1977, he started working as a kicking coach at Dublin High School. Now, I don't know, I remember him telling me this story, and I don't know it to be perfect, and we're going to let him talk. But Coach Hagler started teaching kids how to kick soccer style because his own sons wanted to know. So he started working and teaching kickers how to kick soccer style. They tell me that Georgia High School implemented the community coaching rule, where guys that were not employed by the school system could go through a training and actually become a part of a coaching staff, because everybody was envious and jealous of Coach Hagler and the great job he was doing at Dublin High School. I've written down a list with the coach's help, and we don't want to miss anybody, but listen to the list of kids and where they've gone, and just imagine what input that Coach Hagler had on those. I think his first one was his own son, Scott, the one kicked at South Carolina. Then Sam, kicking at South Carolina. Then we had John Michael Marlin, went to kick at Mississippi State. Bryan LaBella, I think you said Georgia Southern. Teddy Tanner, Houston, then Georgia Southern. Reed Bethay, Valdosta State. Brian Mims, University of Georgia. Drew Griggs, Valdosta State. Justin Miller, Belhaven. Alex Peoples, Union College. Bryston Canada, the Air Force Academy. Michael Santa Maria, Virginia Tech. Brayton Smith, Middle Georgia College. Barry Brown, Georgia State University. Bryce Watson, LaGrange College. Folks, those were kids that Coach Hagler worked with on a daily basis. Coach, you can never be thanked enough for your dedication and your efforts to Dublin High School. I'm proud to have you as a part of our staff, and I look forward to you wearing that green and gold until you say you've had enough. Come on up, Coach.
Well, first of all, I don't really know to thank for being here. I walked around here since this thing's been announced that I was going to be in this thing, and my son was already in it, and I'm really proud of him. He came down from Columbia, South Carolina, just to be here to see this thing, and I'm proud of him. Of course, my other son, and my family, part of my family is here. All of them couldn't get here. I got 19 grandyoungins. So, y'all see we ain't got enough tables for all of them. But one day maybe some of them will be here too. But I wanted to get Roger I don't know where he got all his information, but I think some of it he kind of made up. But I know of one, when he first came down to walk around the school, look at the school, see if he wanted to take this job or not, he bumped into one of our most esteemed coaches that give him some information right quick to help him out. He said, "Coach, you can come down here from Tennessee with all your big stuff, and you think you can run that wing T down in this part of the country?" Said it won't work. Roger, what was that about? How come it didn't work?
Coach, we got through because we had a good kicker, buddy.
That's right. But after he got through telling Coach Holmes he couldn't run this wing T, we all went to work, went to practice, got things started. The game day, we had opened up the Washington can. Oh, Lord, we're going to get killed. We loaded up about 3 bus loads and went over there. And about half of Dublin came right behind us. This is a good bunch of fans in Dublin. Some of them went over there just to be curious because they just want to see what this man here brought from Tennessee. So we got over there and get the game started, and nobody couldn't believe it. We looked up at the scoreboard and going into the fourth quarter. Says Dublin 32, Washington County nothing. How about that now? That's a good. I'll get a hand out of that, shouldn't we? And from there, people, it caught fire. He added 13 more straight wins. After that, we went on and played in the state championship. Now, for a wing T, this had a double wing, Coach. But here we are now. Only one man has come back close to that. A good friend of mine, I think is here somewhere. Coach Davis, he won 11 straight. That was the record, I believe, wasn't it, Coach?
1985.
Yeah, I believe that was the record. He had 11 wins, and Coach Holmes came in a race that. We had 14 straight wins. That's pretty good. Yes. I had another little thing to tell on Coach, but I think I'll leave that one here.
Ladies and gentlemen, Coach George Hagler.
Thank you.
Scott.
Georgia Military College is a 2-year associate's degree granting institution. We are an open admissions college. What that means is all you need to do is have a high school diploma or a GED to get accepted into GMC. We offer several associate's degree programs, including business administration, pre-nursing, psychology, criminal justice, as well as education. We offer classes during the morning, evening, and at night. We even offer some weekend classes. We offer online classes as well as in-seat classes, whatever is convenient for you and your schedule. We are located at 200 South Jefferson Street in Dublin, Georgia. If you want a great education with small class sizes, affordable tuition, we would love to see you here. Stop by to see us or give us a call. Start here, go anywhere. Georgia Military College, Dublin campus.
Hall of Famer Miller Jones is here, and we'll introduce him right here and bring him on up.
It's a pleasure to be back before you guys. Our first inductee of tonight was unable to make it. This flu bug really took a hold on us this year, and he's one of them. He wanted me to convey to you guys how sorry he was for not being able to make it. But if possible, we may try and get him here to be recognized next year. But he wanted to thank the Dublin Touchdown Club and OHS for thinking of him and making his day. He said it made him remember the Friday night lights. He lived for that. Most people here that don't know Johnny, he was a 6'2", 225-pound pulling guard, and he was good at it. They called him lightning and thunder. He would strike anywhere at any time, and he was good. We had a couple of plays that we used throughout OHS extent. It was called T27 and T46, where the guard would pull. And the defensive end, oh Lord, they brought smoke on him. and he would just laugh. You know, sometimes you would think an athlete would get a little angry. He never got angry. He just would pull and strike, and he would thunder. And I just wanted to let you guys know the kind of guy that he was, but hopefully we'll get him here next year. And I'd just like to accept his trophy on his behalf. And we thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Jones, very much. And we'll get him here next year, and we'll recognize him. And certainly that would be very, very deserving. I certainly want to thank TV 35 for being here. They do a great job. And we have the lights. We're trying to make the production as good as it can be. We thank you, James, so much. Hall of Famer Ben Snipes is here with us tonight, and will introduce us to our next inductee.
To present a Hall of Fame membership, a trophy to a fellow named Thomas Earl Watson. A lot of you people probably are too young to remember Thomas Earl, but he was one of the best football players during my time as a player at Dublin that we had. And I'm going to tell you a little story. Those of you who were here last year heard me tell this same story when we were introducing Coach Miller as a coach for the Hall of Fame and all. We won the first state championship in 1959. Thomas Earl was a senior, and we beat Carrollton in what was the South Georgia championship at that time. And then we played a team, Somerville, which is right south of Chattanooga, I believe. And it was a big thing. Coach Miller, our line coach, was a big motivator, a big talker. He did a lot of things, and I played defensive left end, and Thomas Earl played defensive left tackle. So he said, and the boy that he was lined up to play against was a all-state player from the year before. And he kept telling me, Ben, we got to get Thomas Earl ready. We got to get Thomas Earl ready. He's going to have a tough road to hoe out there. It's going to be tough and all this kind of stuff. Well, the whole week of practice, I'm out there I'm talking in his ear, you know, telling him this. In fact, I remember I don't remember what day of the week what day of the week it was, but it rained and we had to go inside, and you know, I'm pumping him all the time. So we get to the ball game, go out there, line up, first play of the ball game. Thomas Earl, we're on defense, and Thomas Earl lined up in the first play of the ball game. That guy hit him in the nose, broke his nose, blood come all the way down. We had white jerseys on. You could not even read his number, and he done got hit. But the boy made a bad mistake, because Thomas Earl hit him every play after that all the rest of the way. And I mean, he won 99% of those battles and everything. And the point I'm making, Thomas Earl, he wasn't a real outgoing type person. He was a very proud person, and he's had a stroke, and I don't think he's quite able to do all the things that he would like for you people to see him, so he's not here. But he was a tremendous player. At the end of the season that year, he was offered a scholarship to Florida State, but he did not take it. He went in the Marine Corps and served our country in the Marine Corps. Let me read an article, a comment by Coach Miller after the state championship game, and let me get it. Thomas Earl Watson played his greatest game and was called by Dublin line coach Jack Miller the best interior lineman I've seen in high school football. So that's a comment from one of his coaches, how well he played. But he was a tough individual,
you know, he really showed out in that state championship game. So at this time, I'd like to present the Hall of Fame to his son, Richie Watson.
I would like to thank y'all for putting this on tonight for my daddy, and I'll be giving it to him pretty shortly. But I thank y'all for putting this on and recognizing him. Appreciate it.
I'm not accustomed to telling Ben Snipes what to do. Anyway, that's well deserved. Thank you very much for coming. Let's get Brother Jones back up here one more time.
Our second inductee of OHS will be introduced by his grandson, excuse me.
Greetings to our ladies and gentlemen in the crowd, as I welcome you to hear great things about my grandfather. I am Keno Charles Robinson II. It is with honor and great pleasure that I introduce the next Hall of Fame inductee. Our next honoree is a man whom I love and I have known my entire life. Over the years, as I grew to know him and appreciate the life lessons he sought to teach me, my brother, and my sister, I understand how these life tools made him who he is today. A man of integrity and a proud native who spent his primary years to the day he graduated from the Oconee High School in 1961, right here in Dublin, Georgia. After high school, he joined the U.S. Army, served in Vietnam War, returned home to enter what was then the Fort Valley State College, where he earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Administration, graduating cum laude, and later earned a Master of Business Administration at Brunel University. After college, he became a licensed nursing home administrator. The majority of his career has been in the medical profession of health administration, with facility operations of care centers here in Dublin, Sparta, and metropolitan Atlanta. He is a giver. He gives his time to numerous organizations, lending his experience and expertise to ensure that the citizens across this state receive quality health care. He is a man who has been recognized with over 30 awards and counting here in Georgia and across the United States for his leadership, service, and overall contributions to the welfare of his fellow man. He not only played football, but excelled in the sport as a leader, having played as a guard on both the offensive line and the defensive line. By the very nature of the position he played on the Oconee High School football team, he has continued to run interference for each and every Georgian who needs protection and a guardian as it relates to their health care in the most vulnerable time of their life. He is the Chief Executive Officer, a board member, a member of the Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, a 33rd degree Mason, a deacon at his church, a husband, and a father of 2 sons. What's more important to me, my brother and my sister, is he is our everything grandfather, and one that I am very proud to have as a role model and a champion of our efforts. Here is Mr. Charles Robinson Jr. as the next inductee in the Dublin Touchdown Club Football Hall of Fame.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you, Keno, for that heartfelt introduction. There's nothing like having your grandson and near namesake standing with you on an occasion such as this. Today is a special day. It is a day that is humbling, yet makes me feel proud and privileged to be honored in such a special manner. I want to also congratulate all of our other inductees who also are being honored during this special induction ceremony. And Miller, I always ask the question, you all did it this time. Both Johnny and I played line, so we forgot about the cute positions and all of those who get all the fame and the glory. But we all know in the game of football that it's won in the trenches.
Yes.
Blocking and tackling, they helped on that line. It was a privilege to play that line and pull and block those linebackers and defensive ends. And having a back coming around like James Griffin, and all he needed was a crack. And you see him, never seen a person run him down, and you can sit back and say, good going, because I did my assignment. To the Dublin Touchdown Club, you have been a part of this community for a long time. This time-honored tradition of honoring its own is noteworthy. I recall feeling a sense of pride when I was just beginning to play football at Oconee. Some of us started down in the 8th grade. For me, being part of the football team gave me my first helping of what discipline could be. It taught me the importance of teamwork, as we came to understand that winning would take each and every player doing their very best to make sure we were the winners when the game was over. Not only did each game require us working together, we also had to do our part in practice day in and day out. Those long practice evenings after school required significant stamina and taught us that winning did not come before being prepared. It was the preparation that made the difference, and anyone in the stands on game night knew that we came out on the field to win. Now, as I reflect on how those football years have influenced my life, I can see that those key words, teamwork, discipline, stamina, being prepared, all became a personal mantra for me as a man. The notion of working together toward the same goals has permeated every aspect of my professional and personal life, be it with various teams on the job, different groups in the community, or assembling with others at church. Each time I could see that we were stronger and better as a group than we were on our own. Tonight's induction brings everything full circle. I remember those wonderful football nights, the wins, the losses, the camaraderie, and the thrill of being a part of a team. Those memories had lifelong lessons that I had not reflected on until being notified of this great honor just a few months ago. Recognition I like to give to coaches Richard Johnson, who's gone on to the Chapter Invisible, and Brother Roscoe Brower. Some of my teachers that stand up, Rutherford Glenn, Miss Maureen C. Baycoat, Miss Nellie Coleman, and of course my two principals. I said three principals. Miss Sophronia Walker was my first principal, and first grade teacher up at Old Telfair School. And Mr. Manning, of course, my junior and senior year, Mr. Big Luke Baycoat, on my freshman and sophomore year. All of my classmates and the football players on the team. I could not be who or whom I am without any and all of them. I accept this fine award with a humble heart. It is a great pleasure to reflect on how the game of football is rewarding to so many. It is a pleasure to share this honor with my family and friends. I thank you, Dublin Touchdown Club, for recognizing me in such a noble manner. I am grateful to you for remembering me and my years with the Oconee High School Trojans. I will cherish this day and this honor for the rest of my life. May God bless each and every one of you. Thank you.
Are you ready to book your next party, class reunion, or family reunion, baby shower, or birthday party? Then look no further than the tranquility and natural beauty of Renesda Banquets and Events. We're out here today on this beautiful 9-acre wooded property full of live oaks and Georgia pines. There's no other place like it anywhere. Renesda. Our venue includes a beautiful 6,800 square foot pavilion that can accommodate up to 450 guests, but can be transformed into a beautiful, elegant design that makes this venue like no other. We're conveniently located just 1 mile off Interstate 16 on Highway 19 and surrounded by the beautiful Lawrence County countryside. Let our team take care of every detail of your next event. At Renesdai, we'll design, manage, and execute your social events and celebrations that reflect your personality and leave lasting memories for you and your guests long after the event is over. Call us today at 278-1295 or 278-1217. Renesdai Banquets and Events, 1827 Highway 19 South, just 1 mile south of Interstate 16 in Dublin.
Mike Rogers has passed away just recently. I told my wife, I said, you know, as the years go by, my classmates become more precious, my teammates even more. Now, Mike and I didn't play together. I think I was in the 9th grade when he was in the 12th. We played baseball together. I always thought Mike was soft-spoken, kind of a gentle giant. I always thought that he was really just a very normal human being, unlike his brother Ronnie. Mike was quiet. I think Mike was my brother's blind side protector. I believe he was a left tackle, and just a fabulous guy.
Unfortunately, my dad wasn't not able to be here, but he would be so honored to be here tonight. It meant so much to him to play football. He told us stories of playing. I can't imagine what it'd be like to play with your brother and be out there in the field on Friday night. I can't imagine that feeling. I'm so thankful that my dad taught me all the lessons that he learned from his coaches and his brothers out there in the football field, that he brought into our family, that he taught me, that he taught my daughters. One of the last conversations he had, he came up to watch my daughter, who plays softball. Both of my daughters play high school softball. In fact, we were at a game last night. We drove here at 1 o'clock this morning. We got up and drove all the way here after watching them play ball. And one of the last conversations he had with them was about being a scholar athlete and what it does for you as far as being just a great person. And that he brought every bit of what he learned on the football field into our relationships at home, at work, and with his grandchildren. And I know I'm as successful as I am teaching and coaching. I have the opportunity to coach young high school athletes, and I live every day to live his legacy in the pool and on and off the field, and I know my children do as well. So thank you guys for all that you do. And coaches, thank you for what you do. Players, it's just amazing what you guys can do and the impact you have on children's lives. So thank you all. Thank you for this honor.
That's fantastic. Very, very good. I tell you now, this next one, I called my little brother, and I called Guy Cochran, and they told me all about Joey Beard. I mean, and probably heard more than I needed to know, as a matter of fact. Tough, hard-nosed, basically controlled the center of the line. Now, when you get to be an all-state performer as a lineman, because, you know, Brother Jones, you and I are a lot prettier than linemen, you know, and so we get the ink. And anyway, but Coach Davis, I'm going to throw you under the bus again. Come tell us about what you know about Joey Beard.
It'll be all legal. I heard somebody say. I did coach Joey, and Joey he was an excellent football player. I had good speed for a white boy. He could run. Joey he had good speed and a good football player. But what I want to talk about just a minute or two about Joey was his wrestling. I started wrestling at Dublin High School. Didn't know nothing about it, but I started. But Joey was on my first team, and he went to the state. He went to the state wrestling tournament as a sophomore. He was a sophomore. We got up there, and he drew a kid named Larry Kennebrew. He was from East Rome High School, in East Rome, Rome, Georgia. And he was an animal. He was about 6'2", 6'3", 260 something. And that's who Joey drew in the first match. And they had matches over on the side that they warmed up on right before you wrestled. And they were Joey over there stretching, and Kennebrew was on the next match stretching. And Kennebrew had on a sweatsuit. And I went over trying to encourage Joey a little bit. I told him, I said, Joey, I believe you can beat that boy. He looks fast to me. And Joey told me, I talked to Joey early tonight when he got here, and thank goodness he doesn't have that speech impediment like he did in high school, but Joey had a little speech impediment then. And he said, it's one of the cutest things in my 30 years of coaching. Joe said, I don't know, Coach. I thought him over if I go out that warm-up suit, he'll look too fat to me. Doug Metz went with me. Doug Metz was helping my coach at the time, helping chauffeur the rest of the team. And Doug was in there, and they took, Kennebrew took his warm-up suit off and got on the mat. And Doug walked up to me and whispered in my ear, said, I'll tell you what, if he had any damn fat on him, he left it in that warm-up suit. And then it was, Joey told me before the meeting, and I think it took 29 seconds for Kennebrew to pin him. But Kennebrew went on and won the state wrestling tournament. And that spring, I was at state track meet. I saw the same kid break the string on a 100-meter dash at 260, 270. He took 2 lanes coming down that track, but he broke the string. He went on and played pro football after high school. And so Joey didn't have nothing to be ashamed of losing to that kid. But Joey was a good football player, and he was a good wrestler, and a good friend of mine, Joey.
First off, I'd like to say thank you for the Dublin Touchdown Club for this, but not only for tonight. They was here back in the 70s. They was here before the 70s. I mean, they've been through a lot of years doing things for us football players and coaches and everything, many meals. And this guy, I ain't never running another sprint for you again. I mean, first off, I'd like to say thanks to my friends and family. They one day had faith that I had potential in life, which was good. Y'all know him as G.W. Darcy. We know him as Pops or the dad who didn't have to be. G.W., we love you. Thank you. We miss our mother who passed last year. I'd like to thank my God for allowing me to be here today. It's great to be here. Thank you.
That's remarkable. Well, I tell you, speaking of remarkable, Robert Martin, you know, I'll be honest with you, Coach, this could have been one of the very best in Dublin high school football history. I've asked several people about Suddy, and the same story comes up. I don't know if it's true. I think it's true. He would return punts. And they'd punt it to him, and they learned not to, but he'd catch the ball and just stand there. He would just stand there. And everybody in the bleachers is about to have a fit. He's going to get killed, and then all of a sudden, he'd just disappear. I guess he just waited to see what the opposition was going to look like, and he would just disappear. Suddy went on to East Carolina. He's got quite a story to tell. I don't know how much of it he's going to tell, but Coach, you coached him?
Yes, sir.
Come on up.
He's another. I didn't coach him much. He coached me. Robert was a tremendous athlete. He played defensive back, a great defensive back, and he did run punch back. And as far as I'm concerned, fielding punts and running punts back is the toughest job in football. And you can imagine yourself standing back there and that ball up there in the lights and 11 people coming down, and if you muff it, they're gonna kill you. And it's a hard job, but Robert was as good as we ever had while I was coaching. He fielded punts, he ran them back, he ran several of them back. And he did go to South Carolina State, but he made a little trip out to California first. He got a scholarship out to Taft, junior college out in California, and played 1 or 2 years out there, and then got a scholarship to South Carolina State. And I saw him on TV one day. I don't know whether it was in a bowl game or what, just a game, but he had a great game there. But Robert was a tremendous athlete, and I told him I saw him before the meeting. He'd be a tackle now. I learned a lot of things. I tell you what, if you waited about 10 or 15 more years, you get you a lot of linemen. All these people out here are guards and tackles. I coached a couple of twins back there that I didn't know. They come up and talked to me before the game, before the thing started, and both of them looked like tackles too. But so you get your bunch of them linemen, because I know I do too. But that's all I need to say about Robert anyway. Come on up, Robert.
Come on up, friend.
All right, good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I just want to thank God for giving us this day. And I want to thank the committee for voting me in, and to all the other inductees that voted in. I want to thank all my coaches. I don't want to name them all, but all of them had a part in developing me to be a good football player. You know, at one time I wanted to stop playing football after my 10th grade year. I had a job at McDonald's and he stopped it. He told me I don't have 4 years of high school and I got all my life to work. And I'm finished high school, I'm still working. But anyway, I thank you, Coach, for doing that. But he wouldn't look at me when he told me that. He was just looking at the ground. He said he heard it through the grapevine that I was ready to quit, which I was, you know. And I want to thank the Dublin High School staff, teachers, the ones that kept me in line, got me ready for college, because I was a student athlete, but really I was an athlete. I wasn't no student. I did everything to be an athlete, but academics, I just let them fall by the wayside. But I think, you know, everybody that played a part in it, Miss Williams, Mr. Ford, and everybody that stayed on me, I'm glad they did, because it turned out to be pretty good. But other than that, you know, I just want to thank all my teammates, all them guys. You know, they put in hard work just like I did, night in and night out, through the practice. I played 3 years of high school football, never missed a practice. You know, I couldn't wait till the Friday night lights came on. I was ready to do my thing. And Scott Hagler, that was my kicker right there. Never had to run down the field because he kicked it out the stadium. He kicked it out the stadium. And I love him for that. But anyway, I just want to thank all them guys for putting in the hard work. And all the fans, the Dublin High School fans, man, they followed us everywhere we went. Rain, shine, or snow, they were there. You know, because we had a good football team back then. Because see, back then you had nothing to do but get ready for Friday night. We didn't have social media, cell phones, or nothing like that. All we had to do is play sports. And that's what we did. And I enjoyed every bit of that. But anyway, that was the best 4 years of my life. You know, thanks to everybody that kept me in line. Well, like, I'm gonna go back to what Coach Davis said. I had 4 years of high school and all my life to work. So after I finished college at East Carolina, went through all the combine, the NFL, trying to make football teams. It didn't work. So I had to go into the workforce. And I was working. And this is where everything changed. I started hanging with people that I wasn't hanging with. And I was working, but they had more money than me. I worked 2 weeks to get a $600 check. And they got $700, $800 in their pocket. And, you know, I was wondering what they was doing. So this is where everything changed. Mr. Bill Favorite, though. So I decided to ask them what they was doing. They said they were selling drugs. So to all the parents that got kids out there, it's so easy to get in trouble. Because I went through 4 years of high school all my life, never been in trouble in my life. But I decided I'm gonna sell drugs. That was the worst decision of my life. So I sold drugs. So being a football player, I always been the best football player that I can be. So if I'm gonna sell drugs, I'm gonna be the best drug dealer I can be. And that's what I did. So them guys that were hanging with me, they started buying from me because I took over. I did it. I wasn't ashamed of it, but it happened. But it's not what you do, it's what you do after you get knocked down. Get back up and fight. And that's what I did. After I served my time, paid my debt to society, I understood what I was doing because a lot of kids looked up to me. But I knew when I left Dublin High School, I had a bullseye on my back to represent Dublin. I knew that, but I didn't stay focused. Once I lost focus, everything went south. But I got knocked down, but I'm on my feet now. You know, I got a job, I work every day. I look back on it, maybe it'll save the next kids from getting in trouble. Because a lot of the kids still look up to me. I can go out somewhere now, they'll see me somewhere, they want to talk to me about football. You know, what I did when I was 16, 17 years old, I never thought that I'd be rewarded for it today. Never thought about it. But today, I just appreciate everybody for giving me that opportunity. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jimmy Rogers, and I'm running for County Commissioner for District 4 of Lawrence County. As County Commissioner, I promise to you, the people of District 4 and Lawrence County, that I will work very hard to serve each and every one of you.
I'm Johnny B. Hall. I live at Route 1, 1351 Hall Watson Road, Dublin, Georgia. Jimmy's an earnest guy. He's very, very nice. If he tells you something, you can mark it down. Whatever it takes to get the job done, that's what he wants to do.
I just ask for your prayers, your support, and your vote, and may God bless you. Thank you.
Dr. Fred Williams is the superintendent of Dublin City Schools. He is our leader, and it is an honor to line up behind him in the ongoing battle of educating our children. Dr. Williams.
Good evening. It gives me a great pleasure to introduce our next Hall of Fame inductee. As Coach Davis so eloquently talks about, the student athletes generally coach the coaches in so many regards. One thing that I've discovered in our coaching career, that when we win, we get too much credit, and when we lose, we get too much blame. George Hagler always said it's 99% of what's stepping off your bus. And over our time at Dublin High School, we have some great student athletes that have stepped off the buses that we have taken to our various stadiums to compete. One young man that from the late 90s, 1998, 99, junior and senior year. In 1998, he had 120 tackles. He had about 760 yards rushing. One game that stands out in mind, we were playing Greenbrier up in Augusta, and we had 500 yards rushing the football, but they had 500 yards passing. And late in the game, we ended up on the losing stick. But his senior year, he had 113 tackles. We affectionately called him D1 because if you look at him, he looks like a Division I football player. And when you lined up across with him, you knew that he was. And so he's a tremendous young man, a man full of integrity, great character, one who we've come to love and very proud of, and is doing a great job where he lives in his community. Also, he had the opportunity to go to Clemson or NC State, but he chose to go to South Carolina State because he felt that that was a fit. And so I thank God for him knowing and having wisdom and what's best for him, and I thank God for what he's doing now in the lives of so many young people out in Texas. At this time, we would like to welcome and congratulate Dreak.
Thank Coach Williams for that welcoming. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Just to tell you a little bit about my journey from Dublin to where I am now. I graduated here in 2000. Went on to South Carolina State. I played a few years of football there. We had some pretty good teams. We won a couple of MEAC championships there. I had a chance to earn a couple of degrees there in family consumer science and counseling. I had a chance to meet my beautiful wife there. I'm going to recognize her. This is Dina Pooley, if you don't mind standing up, please. After I graduated there, I went on. I loved the game of football. I decided to go into education. I started teaching special education at that time and coaching football in a small town in Bowman, South Carolina. After that, we started a family, so we had to figure out what else we had to do. So I kind of wanted to venture out and move out of the state of South Carolina State where we were. So that wasn't in the God's plan. I kind of went out to Charlotte, North Carolina, and at that time I found out that we were going to have our first child. Miss Alana Pooler, she's here with me as well. We had to move back home, started my family there. We bought a house there and all of that. Now we're here in Houston, Texas. My wife, she's the athletic director there. I'm coaching, working as a referee there. I'm working for the state. But it's a great honor to get this award tonight. I want to recognize my family in the background, my mom, my dad. I want to thank you, Mom, Dad, for all the things that you taught me, perseverance, reach for success, strive for the best. I want to thank my dad for teaching me hard work, the responsibilities of being a man and taking care of your family. I want to thank all my coaches, Coach Williams, Dr. Williams. He was a very big inspiration in my success at Dublin. He was the guy that woke me up 7 o'clock in the morning, the 7 o'clock crew, to push me to be the best I can be. All right, Coach Hagler, thank you. Those rides to Georgia with Coach Bars on those camps and getting those visits there and getting me exposed and everything, and getting my name out there. Thank you for everything that you've given to me. I hope I'm an inspiration to my kids tonight. Hope you can strive to be the best that you can be throughout your high school career and on into college. I want to thank all my players that play with me. Actually, one of them here is getting inducted to the Hall of Fame today, Mr. Bubba Wallace. I want to thank you for going and being on the battlefield with me night in and night out. I want to thank my family, Miss Veltine Gardner. She's here to support me as well. And I want to thank the Touchdown Club for putting together this deal and getting everybody here tonight. This is a great deal. I'm greatly honored to have this award tonight. And that's pretty much it for me today. All right, so thank everybody today.
How about these Dublin High graduates, y'all? How about that? That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. Well, that leads us right on into Coach Holmes here again.
I've got 3 young men that have played for me that are going into the Hall of Fame tonight, and I'm honored to have the opportunity to share a little bit about each and every one of those. But it was just mentioned there a minute ago, when I got here in 2002, I walked down to the stadium and I saw these group of guys that were on the paint crew, but they weren't painting. They were taking a break at that time. We laughed about the story a little bit the other day. But I heard about this young man, they called him Bubba Irish. Coach got a good running back. What's it, Bubba Irish? I didn't know who Bubba Irish was. So I had to learn real quick who Bryan Wallace was. Milton Bryan Wallace, I see in the paper, but I never saw anything but Bubba. But, you know, this was a young man that played his high school football for 4 years, and he was a starter for 4 years. His mother, and she told me I couldn't tell the story, and I won't go into detail, but if it weren't for his mother, I probably wouldn't be in Dublin, Georgia more than 2 months. Because Bubba decided he didn't want to do what I wanted him to do, and Bubba was fixing to not be on our football team. And Bubba's mother looked at him and said, I know exactly what Coach is talking about. And you will not be transferring to East Lawrence. You will not transfer to West Lawrence. You'll either do what this coach says or you won't play. Thank you, Mama. Because without Bubba, we wouldn't have played for a state championship that year. Then you go in and you ask this young man who's been the star. He's run the ball 30 or 40 times a game. Rumor has it, and I wasn't here, that Bubba didn't practice 2 days a week his junior year because he played so hard on the Friday night before and they wanted him to rest. And all of a sudden we had to practice every day. And I move him to a position, and we mentioned that game against Washington County. They had 2 huge D tackles and 2 nasty, mean linebackers. And we couldn't run up in there. So we go beat Washington County, and Bryan Wallace may have had 6 carries. Now, that's the first time that had happened in Bubba's career. So I didn't know how he's going to respond. And I told him, I said, hey, just hang in there. There's nights when you're going to be the man. There's nights when somebody else has got to be the man. A couple of weeks later, what helped that team go undefeated is we go play Mary Persons in a driving rainstorm. Bubba carried it 30 times that night. And we won 3-0. And Bubba was a team player. And I can tell you this, he took our football team on his own back in the Georgia Dome in the state semifinals because we started putting that thing down our sideline, and I didn't give it to anybody but Bubba in overtime. We pounded that rock, and we got to play in the state championship. Bubba was a tremendous player. He ran for over 4,000 yards in his high school career. Bubba went on to Georgia Military College for 2 years, and then he went to Gardner-Webb and received his diploma. He ran for 2,178 yards and 30 touchdowns his final 2 seasons. He was first team All-AJC as a senior, was honorable mention 3A All-State in 2002 by the Georgia Sports Writers. He was first team All-Middle Georgia selection by the Macon Telegraph. He was named the Heart of Georgia Offensive Player of the Year by the Courier-Herald. He led the Fighting Irish to a 14-1 record, spot in the 2002 3A state championship game. He ran for 1,304 yards and 19 touchdowns that year. He caught another 14 passes for 351 yards. He was named the Heart of Georgia's Offensive Player of the Year by the Courier-Herald. And his junior year, he ran for 874 yards and 11 touchdowns. It is with great pride and honor that I present to you Bubba Irish Wallace.
First of all, I'd like to say thank you to all you guys, Dublin Touchdown Club, and everyone affiliated to make this happen. Where can I start? Well, first of all, I can say, I'd like to give thanks and all praise to the Most High, first of all. And secondly, to people like Coach Holmes, Mr. Perry, teaching me, the good thing about character and leadership and teamwork. I know you say you probably would say it and you're probably embarrassed, but one thing we used to say, we used to have this thing saying what the longbows do, stick together. And that's one thing that pretty much kept my career afloat, kept me going. To me, it's not about what I did on Friday nights, not what I did any other day or any other night. This community, not only this community, my parents, my beautiful mother over there, Elizabeth Wright, you'll stand up. And my other coach at the house for me growing up. My other coach at the house, if you don't mind standing up, kept me in line telling me I need to do better on Friday nights every night. Because she wouldn't settle for 100 or 200 yards, period. We shot a night. But with this community and with my family and Coach Williams and everybody helped mold me on this great journey of mine, it's just teamwork. It's been days, it's been nights. I was down probably academically, emotionally, on the field, doesn't matter, off the field. A lot of people played a lot of roles in my life, helping me grow, helping me develop, becoming the man I am today. And just being acknowledged for something I love to do, it's amazing to me. And this is a special night in my life. Just being recognized for something that I love to do, and just being a part and having you guys here, you know, in support, because you've been there all along. You've been there no matter what. Like I said, helping mold me, helping me grow, and just helping me understand it's more to life than what we do on Friday nights. Now, don't get me wrong. When those lights come on Friday night, it do something to you. It do something to you. And I truly appreciate you, Mr. Suddy, because you was that inspiration. Dreak Poole, a big brother. For me, you was that inspiration, man. Because that night in Greenbrier, 500 yards, giving up 500 yards passing. A lot of mistakes, personally, on my behalf. But you helped me keep it together after that game. Have a great freshman year, man. And without that moment, brother, I'm telling you, I would have struggled. Because Miss Knight over there, she didn't want me to play at all. She didn't want me playing at all. And I just thank God that she allowed me to continue doing something that I want to do and love to do. Once again, I'd like to thank the Touchdown Club and everyone involved in the city and the community and everyone else, and my beautiful wife and kids for making this trip possible. Had some other things on the schedule, but she let me know and remind me the true meaning, you know, of life, and embracing and taking time off to spend time with those that love you, care about you, and that want the best for you. And I truly thank you for that. Laquita, if you'll step out. My son Micah Wallace, the future, because I will be moving back soon to Dublin.
All right.
And my daughter, Cameron Wallace, and my 10-month scholar. And in my final notes, I just want to thank this man here, Coach Holmes. Without those 8 months, man, it's no telling. It's no telling. I just couldn't imagine me possibly going to Trinity or East Lawrence. One of the biggest mistakes I would have made in my life. But I truly thank you. And once again, Dr. Williams, continue doing what you're doing. You're doing a great job, man. And I just want to thank you. Hey, I know me, Chapori Bostic, Eric Wald, and Quintea Smith was tough back then growing up with you guys, giving you a hard time, but I think it finally came through to us. Finally came through to us, and I'm glad to join those guys, you know, and something so special. Once again, thank all you guys, and thank the Touchdown Club, and thank you, Mr. Perry.
All right, great job.
Hello, I'm Darren Keene with Clements & Keene Insurance. And regardless of what you may have read or heard in the news, the Affordable Care Act is still on the books. Every American citizen is required to have health insurance. Please give us a call at 272-8019 and let us help you navigate through the process. Clements & Keene Insurance, 272-8019.
Next young man played on football team that made a pretty good run. I think he probably got his first start. It's Thomas Barnes. I believe you might have got your first start about week 10 of the playoffs your sophomore year. Had our starting Mike linebacker got banged up. And Thomas Barnes was a tremendous athlete, and we knew it. But he was kind of quiet, a little bit reserved. You could see the athletic ability, but he would kind of stand off in the back. He really didn't force his way, if you will, onto the field. And if I'm not mistaken, that first game he played in, I think he had about 15 tackles. And we're saying, well, we thought he could do this, but we didn't really put him in to find out because he didn't practice that way. But when the lights came on, it was pretty special. Then he was part of a tremendous defense his junior year, He started for us at linebacker. And that football team only allowed 3 points the whole regular season in 10 games. And one play I remember in particular, it was a curl route against Dodge County over at Meat. And that guy caught that curl, and I thought he was fixing to go to the house. And how it happened, I don't know. He came out of nowhere and tackled that kid, and they didn't get another yard and weren't even in field goal range. And then another play I remember was in the state championship game where the Charlton County's down in the red zone, and they got an opportunity fixing to stick one in and win that football game. And they throw one across the middle, and Meat picked that sucker off and ran it back out to about midfield. Son, I wish he went ahead and scored. But anyway, that was a tremendous play in our history. But when I say something about his stats here, you got to understand. Like I said, that defense didn't allow but 3 points all year, and the offense, which he played fullback, alternated with Will Griffith, who was the other outside linebacker. They won that season 549-3. So a lot of backup playing time, okay? But Thomas finished with 67 tackles, 4 sacks, 2 interceptions, returned one of his interceptions for a touchdown, had 765 yards rushing, 7 touchdowns at fullback, scored on a 77-yard kickoff to open the game against Bleckley County. They were going to try to use a little lob kickoff across the field and expect us to fair catch it. Thomas turned that into quick 6. Thomas, I've been going around the country here the last couple of 2 or 3 years, and I've been speaking at these coaching clinics, and I've got a play on there where we talk about running the veer. You remember running that veer? I believe it might have been against Dodge County, and that safety stepped up there to hit you, and the first thing hit the ground was the back of his head. Okay, and everybody says, God, who was that? And I said, this little fullback we had. But, we've had a lot of kids honored in their years in Dublin High School. But in 2006, Thomas wasn't named All-State. Thomas was named the Associated Press Defensive Player of the Year in the state of Georgia, okay? He was AJC Defensive Player of the Year, also in the state of Georgia. He was the GACA's South Coaches All-Star Player of the Year. He was All-Conference, he was ranked among the top 50 players in Georgia, and he was a 3-star athlete from Rivals.com. He was part of the state championship basketball team his junior year. He went to North Carolina State, and if I'm not mistaken, scooped and scored a touchdown in his first game as a freshman at NC State. No further ado, but Hall of Fame inductee Thomas Barnes, who was also Defensive Player of the Year in the state of Georgia. Come on up, brother.
I had a speech, but my phone died on me, so I guess I had to wing it. But just first off, I want to thank God for allowing me to be here, and basically, I really, like he said, I don't talk much, but I go ahead and get to the point. But I want to thank God, my family, the fans, the city as a whole. I really don't know what to say now. I had everything prepared, but what
Thank you, Mom and Daddy.
Oh yeah, my mom and daddy over there, Deborah Barnes and Tom Walker. Y'all stand up. So if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have been able to do half the things that I've done. And even when I was down and, like I said, standing in the back or whatever, they were still the ones who had my back. And I love y'all for that, man. I'm just happy to be here, man.
Coach, if Meat loses any more weight, I believe I could take him. What do you think?
No, you don't mess with me.
Huh?
He's pretty special.
Well, we'll look forward to little big brother shortly standing at this podium. So, Thomas Barnes, what a remarkable player. I saw Thomas play. He started playing football with, I guess, a semi-pro team or some ragtag bunch that came, and he dominated that game, and that was interesting to watch. Coach?
All right, the next one. He probably gave me some of these gray hairs I've got. Okay. Hard-headed. They was laughing the other day about 2 years in a row taking him to football camp and me having to get him over there in the shed and tell him if he didn't straighten his hind end up. Now, I was putting him on the bus and sending him home because, he was hard-headed. But now I got news for you. When those lights came on, it didn't matter whether you were putting the ball in his hand or he was chasing the guy on the other team that had the ball. Okay, this young man, Maurice Martin, and I'm kind of getting ahead of my notes and I'm not looking at him. He's the best football player, pound for pound, that I've coached in all my years of coaching high school football. Now, he'd make me so mad, I could spit nails, and I'm sure there's more than one time I made him mad too. Okay? But Maurice was involved in his career in over 250 tackles while he was in high school, and he ran for more than 2,500 yards. He went on and he played at Georgia Military College. His senior year, he ran for 1,198 yards, 12 touchdowns, which was 7.1 yards per carry. Okay, he had 4 catches for 77 yards. Now, he was competitive and he was tough, and I'm going to tell one story on him. We were playing in a 7-on-7 tournament over at Blakely County. We were playing Mary Persons, and they thought they was something special, I guess. Maurice always wanted to, he wanted to be the best. And although it was a touch football game, it got pretty physical. And some dude came in there and hit Maurice pretty solid by the time he made a play. And I remember Maurice bounced up and said, "You don't want to do that, dude. I'm a bodybuilder." Because the competition was on. Because Mo wanted to be the best, And I think that was the driving force. He was a relentless competitor. And as I said, he was the most dominant player I think I've ever had the pleasure to coach, pound for pound. Come on up, Mo. While he's coming up, I'm sorry. Maurice was a 2-year first-team All-State performer. He was first team as a junior and as a senior All-State football player. You the man, Mo.
First, I just want to thank everybody for being here. Good afternoon, everybody, by the way. Good afternoon. First of all, I want to thank God. I want to thank my family, my mom, my girlfriend, my dad, stepmom there. Whew, I'm nervous. I had something to write, but I just thought maybe I could just say it out of my head. Him, man. I thank him. He put me in a lot of positions that I couldn't get out of, but I got out of them. Y'all understand what I'm saying? I remember from the cramps, from getting me out of class, for me just being a pain in the butt, I guess. But, make a long story short, I want to thank everybody. I want to thank Touchdown Club. I want to thank God for one thing. I want to thank Mr. Perry, Coach Hagler. I don't know him, but thank you for being here. I went on to college. I got like a little small thing. I went on to college, went to Georgia Military College. It was 250 guys there. I think it was 250. Me and Coach Vandy, we went. You know what I'm saying? I was nervous. It was like, it's not going to be many guys that make the team or whatever. So I had to do a little tryout, 40, vertical, small things like that. So I got there, did what I had to do. At the end of the day, they called my name. I was like, wow, out of 250 guys, only 2 guys made it. So I called Mom. I was like, Mom, I made the team. You know what I'm saying? Because out of high school, I was a great guy. You know what I'm saying? I was okay in class, but I kind of love football. I'm about like study. But the thing about it is, on my senior year, I try to tighten up and it. Make a long story short, I think from where I am now, you know what I'm saying, I'm a better man. I kind of got in a little trouble, and I got out of it, and I don't hang around anymore. I'm on the positive side now, but I just want to thank everybody for being here. I thank all of y'all, even though I don't know a lot of y'all. I know a couple faces, but I want to thank everybody. I want to thank my mom, I want to thank God, and thank y'all for being here.
Hi, I'm Perry Williamson. We've been serving the Dublin and Lawrence community for over 90 years here at Williamson's Bakery. We specialize in donuts, cakes, pies, cupcakes, cookies, birthday cakes. They're our business, not a hobby. And don't forget our large selection of cheese straws. For special orders, contact us on Facebook, Instagram, or better yet, just come get you some. When you stop by, be sure to try our all-new Pig in the Blankets. We have bacon, sausage, and chicken. We're located at 1634 Veterans Boulevard, Dublin, Georgia. For the hot, freshest donuts, come to Williamson's Bakery. We proudly support our area athletics.
Go easy on my brother-in-law, please, okay?
Will do.
I put my feet under his table too many times to have you blow that for me, okay?
Well, the last thing that we've tried to do, folks, because you're not going to have a successful football program without people in the community being a part, having a touchdown club, being able to help raise funds to help these young men. Because at the end of the day, a quality program is what we're trying to provide. Not just a program, not just a team. We want our program to be first class in everything that we do. And it takes people being a part and buying into that. And that's part of the reason now why we're doing what we're doing here tonight. Because, see, we forget how special our times were when we were in high school. We forget what Dublin High School meant to each and every one of you in this room that went to school there. Okay? So we want to always try to recognize the supporter when we have this group. And this year, we selected Mr. Guy Cochran as the supporter of to go into the Dublin Touchdown Club Hall of Fame. First, I'd like to say that Guy's been a friend of our program since I arrived in 2002, and I'm sure he was for many years previous. He's always been available to help out in so many ways. He's a person that I've often asked for his opinion about different things because he has a tremendous understanding and exceptional pride in the city of Dublin and Dublin City Schools. I know he's made many contributions over my 16 years, but I'm sure he still knows he's ahead since I've bought so many Mountain Dews, pork chops, and tater logs at Friendly Gus. Okay? I don't think he's managed to be on the back end. I also want to say thank you to Guy for marrying Tina. Or maybe I should say thank you to Tina for allowing Guy to marry you. Because in turn, we got Ben. And Ben got his athletic abilities, from what I've been told, from Tina. Okay? And Ben turned out to be the winningest, has had more wins as a starting quarterback than any other quarterback in the history of Dublin. So thank you, Fatina, for letting Guy marry you, okay? With all the many contributions that Guy has made over the years, I just wanted to kind of hit on a few, okay? Number one, he served as the Dublin Touchdown Club president in 2004, 2005, and 2006. That's 3 years while his young son was being a part of our program, and there's a lot of work. Our budget during that time, they were raising about $30,000 a year. In those years, Guy was able to raise that budget to where it was bringing in $75,000 a year. I wish we could get back to that, but I know Mitch Warnick's working very hard to try to help us get back there. Along with some other members of our community, Mr. Cochran was heavily involved in the construction of our field house. Now, there were some parents and some people that went to bat and said, hey, this is something we need to get done. And I remember sitting in a meeting with the school architect and him telling us there's no way that we can get into that building for 12 to 18 months. Well, little did they know that Mr. Cochran had already had some meetings with Mr. Ben Hall, the construction company. Dublin Construction had gone out and bought some special software that could tell them, well, if you're doing this at this time, you can be doing this, this, and this. And they said, we can get in that building during 2006. And the architect sat there and said, no, you can't. The guy looked at him with that wry grin, you know, and he said, yeah, we can. Well, in 2006, I think it was week 3, we came out of that field house and were able to be out of that field house that year when we hosted the state championship game in Dublin in 2006, okay? Also, when we were doing that, you know, I said, Guy, man, we need to look at putting one of these Jumbotron scoreboards in. We can put all the video up on the boards. We can do this, we can do that. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that Jumbotron scoreboard, let me look over here, $225,000. We got the Jumbotron scoreboard, and it's paid for. Next step in the Shamrock Bowl, now I go to him, we got Jumbotron scoreboard, we got the field house. Guy, we need some chairback seating. Well, what do you got in mind? So this is what we got in mind. Those $35,000. Those chairback seats were paid for in a month. Now, Guy don't want to admit it, but he got his butt chewed more than once because that top row sure was important to a lot of people, wasn't it, Mr. Guy? Last but not least, Mr. Cochran was spearheaded the group as the Touchdown Club president when we won that state championship in 2006. He went out and raised $30,000 more so that every coach and every player on that team could have a state championship ring. Now that's over a 3-year period. I don't know. I know a lot of you have done a lot. I don't know anybody that's done more. And it's a great honor that I'm able to present to the Dublin Touchdown Club Hall of Fame not only a great leader, but a great friend, Mr. Guy Cochran.
Thank you, Coach. Roger and I have been having fun when I got word that they wanted to honor me for this. You know, I would really rather be up here as a player. But you know, I had a really good coach. He sat back there and we had some fun with him. It was Coach Davis, but unfortunately he wasn't the head coach. And one of the things I'm really proud of in our class, and Coach Davis remembers this, we were the first class after we integrated that got to the playoffs and kind of got Dublin football going back in the right direction. Before I talk about that, I want to introduce my special guest, my mom and dad, Ben and Pat Cochran, and my wife, Tina. You know, Ben, y'all keep doing this and y'all might get Ben in, you know, when he played for Dublin football. But, you know, seriously, the years it is, this is a great event, and I appreciate Coach Holmes doing this just to recognize all the great players, Ronnie Rogers, many of the others that we know about. Eric Walden's making history every day. So, you know, it's a great honor to be here and to be recognized like this. I will say this, it is interesting to see some of the players who've come in and some of the players who've yet to come in. And I want to throw a bone out for the class of '74, which was my class. And y'all got Stevie in here, but now I think Coach Davis will back me up on this. One of the best football players to ever play at Dublin High was Don Edwards. He never came off the field, did he, Coach? And he was a tough one. But I got to tell a quick story on Coach Davis, and then I'll get through with my remarks. We lost to Americus 33-2 in the regular season. my senior year, but we made the playoffs, and guess who we had in the first round? Americus. So we're over there playing Americus, and it's 7-3 at the end of the half. They're number one ranked team in the state, 12 D1 signees. They're just stacked. 7-3, you know. So anyway, they broke out and beat us at the second half. They were just bigger and stronger, faster. We're getting on the bus to leave, and you know how it was back then. All the folks going back and forth. We were a little tasty freeze or something, getting a hamburger. And one of our guys, I'll tell you who it was, he's no longer with us, but David Brack. Some of y'all know David. He was a state patrol, just recently passed away. But David let the window down and yelled something I won't repeat tonight. And the whole Americas fan base came up and got in front of the bus. And they were going back and forth, and it was one of those things that, you know, we thought we were through playing, but we might have to. Coach Davis opened the bus, opened the door, he was driving, walked out there, and it was like Moses parting the sea. He just parted the sea. He just rolled up his sleeves and said, "I'm ready." But that's a true story, isn't it, Coach? All right. Well, let me just move on and just say, fall of 2002, I was sitting right here in this room, and I heard this guy with a real hillbilly twang talking about what he was going to do with Dublin football, and I listened to him, and I said, he's got a pretty good plan. So I walked across the parking lot here. He was speaking to the Dublin Exchange Club, and I walked out with him. I said, "Coach, you got 4 or 5 boys. One of them, Bubba Wallace, and I think I mentioned Casey Cullens and Eric. And I said, if you can get those Quintez, if you can get those guys to play together, you're going to have a winning season." And we joke about that. 14 weeks later, they're 14-0 playing for the state championship. So, it was it made me realize at that point, I said, I got a little puny, wormy kid that maybe might be able to help you one day, but we got to get some meat on his bones. And we brought Ben over, and 4 years later, we're state champs. So it was a heck of a ride. I've been recognized for a lot of things, and I just want to say one of my heroes was late President Ronald Reagan. One of the things he always said is, it's amazing what you can get done when nobody cares who gets the credit. And all these things that we did were because we had a ton of folks who worked hard, and we identified some goals, and we said, we're going to get this done, we're going to get that done. Facilities, the funniest thing with that is I got the Board of Education, and Richard Sheffield, John Bell, Bobby Willis, Miss Laura Trawick, and Scott Thompson, I believe, to agree to do this field house renovation. Only problem is our superintendent wanted to do some other things, and we had some meetings, and it was kind of fun. Anyway, long story short, I just said, Dr. Connell, I can be your best friend or your worst enemy, you choose. And we got to be real good friends, and we got a lot done. And the school board, let me just say, that's a funny story. After I got the Pitts family, the Allgoods, and several others to agree to be sponsors on that board, a lot of people don't know, but I walked over there and I had a banknote from Mars State Bank, and I had 4 signature blocks on them. John Bell, Guy Cochran, Roger Holmes, and I think Scott. I don't think any of our wives knew we had signed that banknote, but I know Bernie didn't know anything about it, but I felt like that was a good way to keep Roger around. But anyway, we had a lot of success with that, and we got the stadium seats done and whatnot, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention some folks that really did some great work. Angie Coxwell, Dan Coxwell, for 3 years was our secretary. Legene Kirby Hall always did the Luck of the Irish drawing. Melody Purvis was our secretary. But we got a ton of things done because of one key ingredient. We had a heck of a product to sell. And we had a guy that we could champion, and we had a product that we could champion. That was Dublin High football. So it's easy to get out and work and try to raise money when you've got a product to sell like Coach Roger Holmes was putting out. And what I'm most proud of, Roger has, I guess, got over 100 wins since he's been here. But what I'm most proud of is he's got over 100 young men scholarships to go play football and to further their education. So, Scripture tells us To whom much is given, much is required. And I've been blessed to have an opportunity to get involved with this, and it's been my honor and my privilege. So thank you for this recognition, and God bless everyone.